All around the world, people use their hard-earned money to buy a bag of popcorn and to sit and watch animal abuse for fun. I mean the circus. Now let me ask you, have you ever gone to the circus? Now if your answer was just now yes, unfortunately, just like me, we are a part of the problem. After an extensive look inside the companies that claim to be a safe haven for their animals, there is one concept I have found to be true in almost all of them. The average circus is profiting directly from animal abuse. Now today I will first define my terms, I will set my limits, and then I will prove my case in the application. And now that I have introduced my debate, there are a few key terms I would like to clarify. Merriam-Webster updated their website in February of 2021, and they described the term abuse as physical maltreatment or a deceitful act. And I use this term in my case in order to explain how circus handlers abuse their animals by having them learn and perform tricks in order to gain public attention. On their website that was updated in February of 2021 as stated, Merriam-Webster also defines the term profit as the excess of returns over an expenditure in a transaction. And I use this term to explain how handlers are earning more money from their animals than they are willing to put back into them. Now that we have gone over my key terms, I would like to discuss my limits. It is imperative to keep my arguments focused solely on circus animal abuse. This argument will include key facts for my case. Animals go through mistreatment during their training for the circus. Animals are forced to live a life of isolated and cramped conditions, and the law does not clearly protect the animals in these traveling shows. Now, it is not relevant to discuss certain topics that do not pertain to circus animal abuse, such as the mentioning of zoo organizations or theme parks like SeaWorld, or the need of income for the workers in these traveling shows. My limits and my terms of this argument have been defined, and I am to state that around the world, the average circus profits directly from animal abuse. Now, the major points that support my claim will prove my argument. The animals who perform circus acts go through physical mistreatment through their training, their traveling, and their working days. In an article titled Animal Circuses, Animal Suffering, published on June 3, 2010, a former elephant handler named Sam Haddock exposes the abuse that he not only witnessed, but also took a part in, which included the use of an electric prod in which Haddock himself admits to frying an elephant for at least 10 minutes at a time. On October 22, 2019, a published online article by the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, titled Circus Animal Welfare, details that animals only perform these tricks because they are simply afraid not to. The article goes on to inform the public of training instruments that are used at the circus, and these include the following: bull hooks, whips, chains, and there is even a supply called wonder dust, which is a gray powder that is rubbed on an elephant to hide the fact that they have training wounds during their performance. Animals in the wild, especially elephants, are known to be very social creatures. The circus has them spending most days chained by all fours, and they're in isolation, which is going to cause extreme stress in these animals. Now, the average circus will force these animals to travel in these cramped conditions that we are speaking of, and the animals are subjected to trailers and cages where they are going to be expected to eat, drink, sleep, and relieve themselves, all in the same confined space. An article titled Circuses, written by PETA on October 28, 2020, exposes that even when the destination of travel is reached, these animals are to stay in their confined space, even being chained down to ensure it. Elephants are typically given the space of one step in each direction, and when they begin to show signs of stress, there is very often not a vet nearby to assist them. Another article titled Circuses, The Three Rings of Abuse, written by PETA in 2019, details how inadequate the basic necessities are while traveling on these traveling shows. throughout their working years, an average of 11 hours a day, these animals are going to be kept in their cages, according to an article titled Animal Circuses, Animal Suffering, published on June 3rd, 2010 by Freedom for Animals. According to the Born Free USA in their April of 2006 article titled Animals in Circuses, the law poorly regulates how circuses operate with their animals. That was 15 years ago, and this is 2021, and almost nothing has changed. The Animal Welfare Act, adopted in 1969, states that entities licensed under the AWA must provide their animals with housing, with handling, with sanitation, with nutrition, water, and vet care. And unfortunately, these standards just do not provide the protections against the abuse of training and isolation that occurs within the circus. There is a shocking statement on the New York City Bar website published on May of 2019, and it further proves that the law poorly regulates operation by maintaining how local law enforcement often lacks the training and expertise necessary to determine whether a wild animal's welfare is compromised at the circus. With these glaring facts in mind, it is time to conclude my argument. It is clear with our evidence to see that the average circus does indeed profit from animal abuse. These animals are consistently subjected to harsh training techniques to which they must comply, or they are punished with training instruments. These animals are consistently subjected to isolated and cramped conditions in which they spend almost their entire lives, and these animals are offered almost no protection from the law. The circus is able to captivate their audience by forcing animals to learn and perform tricks throughout their entire lives. In doing so, the circus earns a large profit directly from that animal abuse that they are inflicting on their performing animals every day during training exercises, travel, and performance nights. I ask you to remember this case and never again spend your money to inflict abuse on these wild animals who are indeed defenseless.